I never thought I'd be the kind of man who checks his wife's phone. I was raised to trust. My father always said, if you don't trust your partner, you don't have a partner. So for 7 years, I trusted Sarah completely. I never questioned her late nights at work. I never doubted her weekend trips with her girlfriends. I never once looked through her messages. I was the perfect husband, and she used every single bit of that against me. It started with a perfume I didn't recognize. She came home one Tuesday evening smelling like something expensive, something I had never bought her. I told myself she must have tried a sample at a store. That's what love does. It finds excuses before it finds the truth. Then came the password. Sarah had always kept her phone unlocked around me. We were that couple, open, transparent, or so I believed. One evening in March, I reached for her phone to check the time. My own was charging across the room, and the screen asked for a password. She snatched it from my hand before I could even process what was happening. She laughed it off, said she'd accidentally set it up, said she'd remove it later. She never did. I started paying attention after that, not obsessively, just paying attention. The way a man does when something doesn't feel right but he can't name it yet. I noticed she started going to the gym at odd hours, 6 in the morning on Sundays, 10 at night on Wednesdays. I noticed she bought new underwear, beautiful, expensive pieces that she never wore around me. I noticed she laughed differently on the phone, softer, more careful. His name was Daniel. I found out through the least dramatic way possible, a receipt. She had left her jacket on the kitchen chair, and when I moved it, a small paper fell out. Dinner for two at a restaurant I had never taken her to. The date was our wedding anniversary. I sat down on the kitchen floor. I don't know how long I stayed there. The receipt was still in my hand when she walked in an hour later. She saw me. She saw the paper. And for one long, terrible second, we just looked at each other. She didn't apologize. That was the part that broke something permanent inside me. She got angry. She said I had been emotionally absent for years. She said Daniel made her feel alive. She said she had been unhappy for a long time and I had been too blind to notice. She turned her affair into my failure. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I just nodded slowly, folded the receipt, put it in my pocket, and walked out of the kitchen. That night I made a decision. I was not going to react like a broken man. I was going to think like one who had already won. Sarah didn't know that 3 months earlier I had been promoted to partner at my firm. I hadn't told her yet. I was saving it as a surprise for our anniversary. The same anniversary she had spent with Daniel. The promotion came with a significant salary increase and a restructured contract. It also meant that our joint finances were about to change considerably. The next morning I called my lawyer before I called anyone else. I explained everything. He told me exactly what I needed to do and in what order. Document everything, move nothing yet, say nothing. I spent the following 2 weeks gathering information quietly. I hired a private investigator, not because I needed more proof, but because I needed the right kind of proof, the kind that holds up. The investigator gave me photographs, timestamps, and locations, 7 meetings with Daniel in 6 weeks, 2 of them during times Sarah had told me she was visiting her sick mother. Her mother, by the way, had no idea. When I finally had everything I needed, I sat Sarah down on a Sunday afternoon. I made coffee. I set out 2 cups. I was calm in a way that clearly unsettled her. She kept asking what was wrong. I told her nothing was wrong. Everything was actually very clear. I placed the investigator's report on the table between us. I watched her face go through 5 different emotions in 4 seconds. Then I told her I had already spoken to my lawyer. I told her I had already opened a separate account. I told her I had already contacted the building management about transferring the lease because the apartment was in my name. She had 30 days. She started crying. She said she had made a mistake. She said Daniel meant nothing. She said we could fix this, we could go to therapy. She still loved me. Every word landed like something I had already processed and discarded weeks ago. I told her I believed she was sorry. I told her I also believed she was only sorry because it hadn't worked out the way she planned. Then I picked up my coffee, stood up, and told her I had a dinner reservation. I ate alone that night at the same restaurant from the receipt. I ordered the most expensive thing on the menu. I sat at a table by the window, and for the first time in years, I felt completely at peace. Sarah moved out 18 days later. The divorce,